I'm Patrick, and thanks again for joining me for 10 minutes in my garden. Um, so, what I really want to talk to you guys today about is watering. One of the biggest questions that I get is when do I water? Um, how often do I water? And it seems like most of the time people are looking for, do I water twice a day? Do I water every other day? That sort of thing. And unfortunately, in the gardening business, you cannot set your watering schedule by a clock. Um, what you really need to do is just learn to know when a plant needs water. So we'll start out with newly planted plants. So if you refer back to some of these tomato planting videos that I have from earlier, you'll see one where I pulled up the plant and showed you the root system after a week. What that shows is some of the roots starting to spread out and get established. Before that happens, if a plant has not spread out its roots yet, it is not absorbing water from the soil around it. So, one of the main things to look at when you're deciding should I water a plant or not, you look at the soil. And so I have my Hori Hori, a soil knife, sod knife, whatever you want to call it. I can go like this and check out the soil. So I have the soil here, it's moist, and so this is good soil, it's not clay. So I'm squeezing it and it's sticking together a little bit. So it still has some moisture in there. You can feel the moisture as well, but be careful when you're feeling for moisture, because often when the plant is, or when the soil is cool, it can feel wet. So you have to make sure what you're feeling is actually moisture. And the only way you're really gonna get to know this is just by doing it, throughout the seasons. And when the soil gets cooler, you'll be able to sit there and say, oh, is this cool or is it wet? And you'll learn to feel that this is, excuse me, this is barely moist enough. So I would say if we don't get any rain, then in a day or two, it's going to need some watering. I'm checking the soil right here because it's not too far away from the plant. I'm not disturbing the root system, and this plant has become established. If it was not established, we need to just continue to water where the original root mass was when we planted it. So let's say, we had a 2.5 inch cell pack. We planted in there. This is, let's say, a lot of these have measuring on them. Let's say 2.5, this wide. So we want to water, make sure that within this section gets watered well, because this can be soaking wet right here, and this may not be getting any water at all, because again, if the roots have not spread out from its original root mass, then it's not going to be drawing water in from the soil around it. I hope you guys understand that. If you don't, feel free to leave a comment, question down below, and I'll spend a little bit more time on that. So that's basically, and you can do this with any plant, a tree, perennials, annuals. Annuals are going to establish quicker. Perennials are going to be the next fastest. Annuals, a few days, maybe even 24 hours, or roots are starting to spread out. Perennials a little bit longer, shrubs longer, trees longer. And it all depends on the variety, but that's just general. Um, so the other way to tell is by looking at the leaf if it needs water or not. Well, so let's say the roots have not spread into the soil around it yet. You basically just need to keep watering this every day, for a week. You know, trees, this could be a little bit longer, especially if it's in the summertime. Um, there's a lot of things to get into when it comes to that. Trees and shrubs, if you water them, if you plant them at the end of the summer, beginning of the fall, they have more time to establish their root system when they're a little bit more dormant. Roots grow all year round, so if you plant trees and shrubs in the fall, by the time next summer comes around, you have to worry less about watering. If you plant a tree in the summertime, you're really going to want to water it good. And then when you water, you want to soak it. So you want to soak it, preferably soak it enough so the soil is going to stay moist for as long as possible. That could be, depending on the soil, it could be from a couple days to a week. But you want to drench it really good. If the plants are brand new and they're not going in, the roots aren't going to the soil around it, you're probably going to want to do it every day, if not twice a day. If you have some tender annuals, you might want to do it twice a day. But another sign of when to water is you can see how turgid the leaves are. So what I'm referring to is if they feel wilted or not. So start to get to know your plants and feel the leaves, and feel after if they've been watered and the water's doing well, they're going to be turgid, which means they're going to have some succulence to them. They're going to be sturdy, and so so just feel the leaves every day until you get to understand this. But there's going to be a point where if they need water, you're going to feel this leaf, and it's not going to feel like there's water in the leaf. It's going to be very weak. It's going to bend more easily, and you're going to be able to tell after some time, hey, this feels turgid. It's solid. It's strong. It has some water, moisture in it. And you're going to come back here maybe a few days after it not getting water, and you say, oh, this is weak and it really doesn't feel like it has water in it. So you can feel the leaves and be able to tell if there's water in the plant or not. You don't want to water too often, so you want to make sure things dry out after watering. So what happens is if you give it too much water and the soil is saturated for a long time, that depletes the oxygen out of the water, and the roots need oxygen as well to grow in the water. So it needs air pockets, or it needs some air. So what happens is if the soil is saturated with water, then you're not going to have any air down in there. So if you have extended periods, let's say a week, where it's saturated with water, sometimes you don't have control over this, then you're going to have a lack of air in the soil, and then the roots can rot, and you get some disease issues with that. You will also see with some plants the leaves become very stunted. Stunted leaves can come from several things. We have some stunted leaves on this lilac right here. These are not stunted leaves from lack of water, but this is what stunted leaves look like. And so as far as watering goes, I hope that pretty much explained things for you guys. Water it after it dries out, okay? And don't water it so much that it's not going to dry out after, a week. 7 days, 5 days even. Um, if for some reason you're watering your plants and they're not drying out, you're probably watering it too much. It might be getting supplemental water. You might have poor drainage. Poor drainage is typically in areas like between a foundation of a house and a sidewalk, which a lot of azaleas are planted, so you do see stunted leaf growth on those. So the other thing you want to do, with your watering is make sure that you use proper tools to do that. And proper tools would be a nice shower head. Most watering utensils are gonna, a lot of this, gosh, what are they called? Whatever they are. A lot of them you can turn to like a jet or shower or mist or spray. You never want to mist anything. You want to put it on a shower. You want to water the soil. You don't want to water the leaves. If you water the leaves, you're wasting your water. Water the soil, that's where it needs it. Water it with a nice gentle shower head. This is a Dramm watering wand, which is ideal to use. It has a shower head on it. These can be replaced, and sometimes you can get some with shutoffs. This actually has a handle that broke. That's a shutoff. But Dramm makes a great product, and this watering wand has been around for a long time until I stepped on it. So if you're not using a hose and you're not using a watering wand, this is a Dramm. This is a Dramm as well. Typically it would have a shower head on the end. If your shower head, if it's not coming out well, then what I do is I just maybe take a real small drill bit and drill these holes out so the holes are nice and clear and clean. That way it flows out well. Typically Dramm is okay. If you get some of your less reliable products, you might have to clear out the shower head. I have the shower head off right now because I use this to water house plants and potted plants, and a lot of times that shower head is just too wide and so forth. And I don't want to water the leaves, I want to water the soil, so this helps me get more directly to the soil. Yeah, we haven't spent much time in this garden. It's been hot. I've been busy, but we have some leaves in here, or some weeds in here, and we'll start talking about that soon. So I'll be glad to do a follow-up watering again tutorial for anybody. You want to go ahead and put comment questions down there, and I'll follow up with another watering guide to help clarify any questions you guys might have. So glad you joined me. Hey, 10 minutes in the garden, 20 minutes in the garden, once a day, twice a day, the morning, evening. It's beautiful. You don't have to stress out about it. Just come out here, enjoy your time, take your shoes off, put your hat on, put your lotion on and your bug protection, and just, hey, spend a little bit of time out here. You don't have to think you have to spend a whole hour in your garden every day or twice a day in order to get things done. Just don't plant more than you can handle. All right, I'll see you next time.